What we human beings do is that we are in this thing called life without ever truly realizing that it is a self inside of us that is in this thing called life. So what we tend to do is to see ourselves as this, just this one broad stroke, called you, without investing any time or energy in getting to know what that means.
No matter where you come from or what challenges you face, remember that you have the power to transform your life. We're bringing you the most inspiring stories and voices from authors who are indeed powerful forces for the culture in their work. These interviews will keep you believing in yourself, inspire you to keep pushing forward, and most importantly, never ever stop dreaming. It's your boy, Uncle Kolby, and this is the Kolby Kulture Show. What's up, Kolby Kulture fam? Welcome back to where culture thrives, stories come alive, and every voice matters. I'm your host, Derek Jacoby Washington, but you know me as Uncle Kolby, and I'm here to bring you yet another dynamic episode of the Kolby Kulture Show. Today, we're vibing with a true icon of stage and screen and a champion of personal empowerment. The one, the only, the legend, Miss Tina Lifford is here, y'all. But first, let's catch up with what's hot in the literary drop. This week's literary drop, we're spotlighting Emmy Award winner Taryn Hall's newest book, Watch Where They Hide. This edge-of-your-seat thriller featuring journalist Jordan Manning takes us on an invigorating ride as she delves into the case of a mother in danger and uncovers a dangerous web of secrets that could lead right to the missing woman or put Jordan in the crosshairs of her abductors. Oh, I love a good mystery thriller, y'all, and I can't wait to crack this book open. Make sure you head over to djacobywashington.com where a full review of the book will be posted ahead of next week's episode. This has been this week's Literary Drop. Hollywood veteran, powerhouse actor, insightful author, Tina Lifford has played over 100 characters in her illustrious career, including the unforgettable Aunt Vi on Queen Sugar. She's graced the screen alongside legends like Clint Eastwood, Jennifer Lopez, and Bruce Willis. Beyond the lights and cameras, Tina penned The Little Book of Big Lies, a book Forbes calls a must-read for transformation. As the brain behind the Inner Fitness Project, Tina leads the charge in helping us tackle our internal world with as much zeal as our external one. I want to welcome to the show none other than Miss Tina Lifford.
Uncle Kolby, how are you?
Let's do a little dance here to kind of break the ice a bit.
I love it.
How are you?
I'm so very well. I'm happy to be here.
So listen, there is so much that I would love to discuss with you on tonight, but I want to first say that I am truly fanning out. I'm so excited to have you on the show. I've been following you for some time now. I loved you in the Ernest Green story. I loved you in the Temptations movie. I loved you on Parenthood, and I absolutely loved you on Queen Sugar as Aunt Vi. But even more than the roles that you've played, I think I actually started following you on IG maybe a year or a little bit earlier than that. And what I appreciate most about you is just how incredibly transparent you are, how relatable you are, and how you've been incredibly open about the importance of self-care and personal wellness. Can you tell us a little bit about just what moment that sparked your passion for what you call inner fitness, and tell us what exactly inner fitness means?
Yeah. So I define inner fitness as mental, emotional, and spiritual resiliency and strength. You know, when you think about the physical body, we think about strong physical muscles.
Yeah.
When we're talking about inner fitness, we're talking about mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. And you get that mental, emotional, and spiritual strength by being mindful of and then working consciously with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, your feelings, and belief create your life. And so being mindful about that puts you in the driver's seat of your life.
I love that. And really, what sparked your passion for inner fitness?
Yeah. So, I'm an old soul, and we all have encoded within us a journey. And then life gives us the opportunity to unfold on that journey. And I believe that life uses us for its own reasons, and that our responsibility is to grow and expand. If we are growing, that's what the universe does. The universe, everything in life grows and expands. So if we are growing, then we are using our lives to the best of its potential, or at least we're positioned to do that. And so for me, I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was in the second grade, and then in the fifth grade, I had a debilitating, traumatic experience on stage. It left me. I didn't really know the degree to which that experience, it sort of downloaded itself into my nervous system. And then as I was in pursuit of my career, all of a sudden I started having this physiological insecurity, nervousness, and literally being out of regulation.
Wow.
And it made me question for a moment if I was, some sort of fraud, because I really am a rather centered person for the most part. So I was confused as to how I could feel this personal power and feel centered in so many areas of my life, and then have this area sort of undo me. Literally, it would, when we have physiological responses that are tied to fear, tied to trauma, we don't know how to manage those physiological experiences. So we literally are taken out of ourselves. And so my blessing is that rather than give up my dream of being an actress, I committed to making sure that I did everything in my power to understand that, to work with that, so that I could have more power and agency over it. And in doing so, inner fitness just bloomed.
Wow. I love that. So you wrote a book called The Little Book of Big Lies, and it dives into some incredibly powerful truths. I think that there's one quote that kind of stood out to me, and that quote is, "When you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible." And like I said, that statement struck me as profoundly insightful. And it's what I found is that it's really unfortunate that many people struggle with that type of self-awareness or self-acceptance. And so if you could just elaborate on how you came to recognize the importance of these qualities, especially in a world where so many people are disconnected from themselves.
Yeah. It's a great question. And I explain it like this. Imagine being a fish in the ocean and being annoyed by the water, right? What we human beings do is that we are in this thing called life without ever truly realizing that it is a self inside of us that is in this thing called life. So what we tend to do is to see ourselves as this just this one broad stroke, called you, without investing any time or energy in getting to know what that means.
Wow.
And without getting to know what that means, we wind up at war with ourselves. We wind up being the fish in the ocean who's irritated with the stuff that that bubbles up as us, without realizing that that's who we are, not the stuff, but the range of ourselves within.
Wow.
Is how we navigate the world outside. And so we must come to know and understand the range of self that lives inside. And then we will understand every single challenge, and more importantly, the undeniable power that lives inside of us. And I'll just say that the framework that, is in the little book of Big Lies, and is the gift that my own personal awareness gave to me. But if you think about your interior self as having these three ranges, and one is the surviving self, always in worry, doubt, and fear, ready for war, othering, anger, resentment, jealousy, all of those feelings live in the surviving self. And that self is always in a state of trying to survive the moment, trying to survive the ego, trying to survive, right? The fears. The other range of self up from the surviving self is the thriving self. And the thriving self is the part of us that actually aligns with the frontal cortex of the brain. The surviving self aligns with the amygdala, and the reptilian brain.
Okay.
The thriving self is the reason we can be rational, that we can think and imagine. That's what the neocortex does. It allows us to imagine, to have self-agency, to have the ability to think higher thoughts and make executive decisions. And then the third is the infinite self. And the infinite self is the dust of the universe, or God, or whatever you want to call it, that is undeniably the essence of our being.
Wow.
And when you understand that, then you can make the decision to get really curious about who you truly are. And then begin to see yourself when you are in survival mode, see yourself when you are in the infinite, and do more of that. Use the thriving self to help you see both sides of you, and then intentionally strengthen the inner part of you, so that, they're working, all three work in harmony. Because you need that part of self that, is always watching its environment to make sure you're safe.
Certainly. So I'd imagine that this self-awareness, self-acceptance, this thing doesn't happen overnight, especially if you are so accustomed to, you have all these other things vying for your attention, competing for your energy, your time. And so, what are steps that people can take to begin to become more self-aware and to begin to accept themselves, their whole self?
Yeah. Great question. So at the Inner Fitness Project, which is where we teach this work, we have really simple prompts, because we want this stuff to be demystified, so that people understand that it's not beyond them, And so A couple of our prompts that are really powerful. One is up until now and from this point forward. So when you start to see yourself in survival mode, you see your knee-jerk reactions, you see yourself, you know, having opinions and doubts and judgments that don't serve you. You stop yourself and say, up until now, that's how I've thought or believed or behaved. But from this point forward, that can change for the better.
Love it.
And now you've just created space inside of you that's already there, but you've created space inside of you to move to the foreground and help you be more mindful in those moments. And a way to see those moments more clearly is what we call sitting in the observer's chair, where you begin to live your life a little bit like you're watching a movie. You sit above your life, in your life, and watch yourself. And when you see yourself reacting, take note of what was present so that you begin to understand what triggers you and understand your unconscious behavior, the stuff that you can't see because you're in it. But the moment you make your life a picture show, now, like watching a movie, you can see the person that's about to come through the door or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is, it's so critical for us to truly learn to not take life personally. And the Inner Fitness Project has this prompt that is just, it's a little ditty of a saying, but it's powerful. And it goes like this, first let me share that, life is this creative medium, right? We can't doubt that. This is everything that we see is a creation. So, it's a creation. We are part of that creation. We have the DNA of life or the universe or God inside of us. That makes us creative. So when you are in this creative space and you are a creative force yourself, life bumps into life and it creates something else. And it's how you respond when life bumps into you that dictates and determines what you now are a participant in creating.
Wow. How we respond.
How we respond is everything. And how we respond creates the next moment.
Wow.
How we respond creates our relationship with ourselves. It creates our doubt and it creates our sense of power. How we respond.
Wow. Listen, I'm chatting with the amazing Miss Tina Lifford, and we're talking about inner fitness. How we respond creates the next moment. That to me is that we don't I guess tweet anymore, but that would be a tweetable moment. So make sure that you're jotting that down. In the book, you also tackle 14 lies or quote unquote lies that people often tell themselves. Can you talk about a few of these lies and the impact that they have on our own individual inner fitness?
Yeah. So one of they are all lies that you will recognize, in the book. But one of my favorites is I'm upset because. And how often do we say that and do we hear that from people? I'm upset because you didn't do such and such a thing. I'm upset because, I was expecting blah, 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 and you let me down. I'm upset because is a lie. And what makes it a lie is that we are claiming and we have narrowed our focus to the idea that what is happening right this moment is the reason that we're upset. But the only way we can be upset is because there is upset that lives inside of us already. And something about this moment ignites it.
Wow.
So I'm upset because, you didn't call me back when you said you were, gets connected to a much bigger and older pain, which is I was never prioritized by my family. I was never made to feel like I was safe, seen, and heard. Whatever that connection is, it is that unseen and unaddressed history that is just sitting there waiting for the moment for something out there to ignite it so that, and here's the brilliant part, and it'll take me to the next lie. The brilliant part is our systems always wants to move back to homeostasis. We came here whole. And it doesn't matter what happened to us between then and now. Our wholeness is waiting. And it's always trying to get our attention. And the way it gets our attention is to react, to show up and show us where the work needs to be done.
Jeez.
And so instead of people getting so upset that they have been triggered, it should be a blessing, because now you see where your precious and powerful attention needs to be focused so that you can give that part of self the time and attention it needs so that it can resolve and regulate that experience, that trauma that doesn't allow you to be your full self.
Wow.
And so the next lie is, I thought I was done with that. So many people, right? They hate this thing that they have been given by life, and they work as best they can to get rid of it. All the time, judging it, resenting it, distancing oneself from it, not in a healthy way, but in a I hate you, I don't want to look at you kind of way. And so I thought I was done with this. The lie that it reveals is that when something bubbles up, we tend to make the assumption that there's been no growth, that there's been no success. We thought we had grown. We thought we had conquered this. We thought we were done with this dis-ease for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Well, now that you know that there's this range of self inside of you, you know that we are layered. And in those layers, our healing is layered. And so anytime an old pain revisits, the success is that it has been healed at a deeper level enough that the deeper, more unconscious level is now available for healing. And so it is an opportunity for when that thing comes up again, instead of being at war with it, make sure that we don't judge ourselves as less than, not good enough, or broken in some way, that we don't judge God, the universe, because when we do that, we confirm that this thing is real and bigger than us. And when we when we are present to it and we can love ourselves in the moment of the trigger, we heal at a deeper level.
Wow. When we can love ourselves in the moment of the trigger.
That's right.
We love at a deeper level.
We love ourselves at a deeper level.
Wow. Wow.
We return to our wholeness.
Our homeostasis. Yes, this is amazing. This is amazing. Again, I am talking to the great Miss Tina Lifford, and we're talking about inner fitness. I want to switch gears just a little bit. Here at the Kolby Culture, we do something called the Culture Quickfire. And so this gives our listeners an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better through a round of questions that want quick and insightful answers. And so for our listeners, get your questions ready again and drop them in the comment section, because we're moving into our audience Q&A right after this. All right, Tina, are you ready for the Culture Quickfire?
Sure. What the heck?
So tell us one role that you dream of playing.
A narcissist.
Why?
Because that narcissistic personality is so incredibly deviant and devious, while appearing to be something completely different. And so the complexity of that, the devilishness of that, the Machiavellian nature of that just would be quite a feat.
Okay. One book you recommend most often?
You got to give me a genre.
Any genre.
Okay. All right. Oh gosh. I'll say The Body Keeps the Score.
Okay.
Yeah. Body Keeps the Score is a great book that really does help people come to understand that the things that happen to us neurologically find a home in the body, and there is a connection. And so we can and should pay attention to the things that our body tries to tell us, because our body is holding our history. And if we are mindful, we can use our bodies as a roadmap to our wholeness.
Love it. Your go-to method for stress relief?
Telling myself the truth. So first you have to know what the truth is. And the truth is, again, this is the work that we teach at the Inner Fitness Project, but I have given away all definitions of myself. I'm a lot of things. I show up as in a lot of ways. I show up as an actress. I show up as, a daughter, a sister, a family member. I show up in a lot of ways. But I am, meaning my DNA is this. I am innately creative, resilient, empowered to choose, whole, and worthy.
Wow.
So if I am innately creative enough to design and redesign my life, resilient enough to weather any storm, empowered to choose and re-choose and choose again, mystically whole and undeniably worthy, when I meet a problem, instead of thinking about that problem being who I am, I remind myself the truth of who I am, and then I get to meet the problem as the thing that it is. And when you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. So it can never be bigger than me when I tell myself the truth.
Yes, I love that. So the next one was going to be a mantra that gets you through tough days, but I think you just said it. Or is there another one that you like to share?
Yeah, well, the mantra that I just shared, which is creative, creative, resilient, empowered to choose, whole and worthy. I love that. But I will use the if I tell myself the truth. And if I tell myself the truth, it says I acknowledge what is happening in the moment. It's four ways to tell yourself the truth before the whole truth is told. So if I acknowledge what is happening in the moment, and then I acknowledge what I have interpreted it to mean. If I tell myself the truth about how I'm seeing this thing. So let's say what has happened is a teacher said that wasn't good. Okay, the teacher said that wasn't good. That's the truth. The next truth is how I interpreted it. I interpreted it to say the teacher said I wasn't good enough, I was failing. The third truth is, to acknowledge how I feel. I feel, ashamed. I feel, not good enough. I feel lost. The fourth truth is, and now tell yourself what's possible. What's possible is that I have not clearly interpreted, that moment. What's possible is that because I am creative, resilient, empowered to choose, whole and worthy, I can win regardless. What's possible is that I can use this moment to grow.
Yeah, love it. Last one, the biggest misconception about personal growth.
That it just happens. That you can read one book or 10 books, or that there's a point where it ceases, where you cease to have to invest energy in it. And, I encourage people to think about personal growth, inner fitness, the way you think about physical fitness. If you are, in a body that is constantly changing with time and age and all of that, you must be mindful of strengthening yourself the entire journey.
Yeah.
And that's the same, on the inside.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Tina, thank you for indulging me. That was amazing. All right, Culture Fam, you know what time it is. I know many of you have questions for Tina. Drop those questions in the chat or comment section and we'll make sure that we ask them. Tina, we've already gotten some questions that were sent over earlier to kind of kick things off. And so the first question that we have is, how do you balance such a dynamic career with personal wellness?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question, because my personal wellness, if we go back to the fish, right? My personal wellness is the water I swim in, right? If I'm not taking care of my personal wellness, then I'm going to be gasping for air. I'm going to be in trouble ultimately. And so how do I make both possible? Well, I truly know that nothing in my life gets done without me. And so I have to add myself to my list of priorities. When you add yourself to your list of priorities, because you really get that you have been given this life, it is very short. And for you to die fully alive, and that's my aim, to die fully alive, then I must make sure that I am giving the time and attention needed for me to meet that goal.
Wow. To die fully alive. I've never heard that before. I've heard, people mention that when I leave this earth, I want to die empty, having served the world every gift, every talent, every skill set, all of me essentially. But I've never heard the term to die fully alive. Can you kind of talk more about that?
Yeah. So it is, again, going back to we come here whole.
Mm-hmm.
And then this life journey disrupts our idea of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people then live a life that is disconnected from themselves because they never knew that they could go back or go within and reclaim their wholeness.
Wow.
And so when we understand that the self is not you and me,
Mm-hmm.
the self is us in a conscious partnership with with the brilliance and the intelligence of the cosmos that is wiring this whole thing.
Mm.
So when I say yes to the self, I'm saying yes to my unique fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that this fingerprint that I was given, that nobody else was given, that I make sure I do everything I can to fulfill the engineer's use of me, design of me.
Yeah. I love that. We have another question that just came through. What daily habits contribute most to your inner strength?
Yeah. So a little bit of information daily. So, sitting and journaling is a great way to be in alignment with yourself. I had a client say that the work that we do once a week, that you can actually do, with your journal regularly. But she said that the work that we do once a week is the only time that she experiences being totally honest.
Wow.
And so for us to begin to give ourself time where we can, going back to my favorite prompt, tell ourselves the truth about our lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid of something, say, I am afraid of this. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid of your feelings, because when you voice them, you actually allow them to dissipate. Mm-hmm. When you don't voice it, you sit on it and it becomes more of a pressure cooker. Mm-hmm. So say, I hurt. Just say, I am upset. Say, just don't identify with it, but acknowledge it, right? So that in your journal, that's a great place to do both. You wind up being with yourself and you wind up acknowledging what is true for you.
Yeah.
Those two things, you start doing those two things, they will lead you to other things. They'll lead you to meditation, maybe. They'll lead you to a great book. I'm telling you, the Little Book of Big Lies should be on your shelf.
Absolutely.
It's not because I wrote it, but because way too many people have told me that it has changed their lives, and that they have read it not one time, not two times, but they keep rereading it.
Wow.
Because we keep dropping into deeper layers of ourselves.
Yeah. It's another question that just came through. What advice would you give someone struggling with self-doubt?
Yeah. So these are all great questions. Self-doubt is the lie we tell ourselves when we tell ourselves that we are what has happened to us. We are so much more than that.
Yeah.
And to begin to say, what happened to me is this, and this. Mm-hmm. I was just talking with a team member a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the difference between the expression of depression and saying, I'm depressed, and then living one's life as though one is depressed, as opposed to understanding that you are over here, and then you, the self, is having this experience called depression. When you understand that the self is having an experience called depression, then the two are separate. Now the self can begin to consciously and deliberately act on, respond to the depression, so that the depression can resolve itself without the self being identified with it.
Wow. This is great, folks. I'm again talking to Miss Tina Lifford, talking about inner fitness, talking about wholeness, talking about resilience. These are all great things. I so appreciate you sharing with us. I want to do one more thing before we let you go. And I do something here called the word wave. And so essentially what the word wave is you'll share quick insights based on keywords with you. Each response should offer a nugget of wisdom from your experience with inner fitness, or just your personal experience in general. All right, any questions before we get started?
So what I heard you say is you're gonna say a word, and I am going to say a phrase or a sentence.
Yes.
That speaks to my point of view regarding that word.
That word, exactly.
Okay.
All right, here we go. First word, resilience.
Inborn, you can't get rid of it. Give it room to live.
Empowerment.
Empowered to choose. You can't get rid of it. You are always choosing. You always have the power of choice. Choose for yourself.
Choose for yourself. Forgiveness.
Forgiveness is the opportunity to let go of the lie that there was something that happened in your life that could make you less than who you are.
Wow. I just need to sit with that one for a moment. Wow, that's amazing. Courage.
It's what we have, what we step into. It is the superpower that we step into when we allow ourselves to go just a little further than our fear and history dictates.
Peace.
The space between the words.
Acceptance.
The universal act that is always confirming that we are whole. We are always accepted by that made us. So we can now accept ourselves.
Wow. We are always accepted by that made us. So we can now accept ourselves. That's amazing. Joy.
Yeah. About everything. About everything. You can have joy about everything. Decide to understand the ability to experience joy in the midst of the deepest and most challenging of circumstances. If you decide to use it for your wholeness, to use it for your growth.
It's a decision. I love it.
It's a decision.
Boundaries.
Very important. It's a way that you actively send the message to yourself that you matter.
Compassion.
It is the responsibility of the self that understands that we, in truth, are a community. Each person is just a version of ourselves. So compassion is necessary.
Authenticity.
It's freedom.
Last one, vision.
It is the most important gift that the universe has given us, that God has given us, because with our vision, we can create the thing that is in our heart and soul that needs the vision as the support needed to pull it out of the invisible into form.
Wow. Awesome. Thanks for indulging me in the Kolby Kulture Challenge Word Wave. All right, Culture fam, it's giveaway time. Make sure you jump over to Kolby Kulture Show on IG and Facebook and drop a comment with #InnerFitnessCulture, #InnerFitnessCulture, and share your own story of personal growth. Do that and you can win a copy of Tina's transformative book, The Little Book of Big Lies, and some exclusive Kolby Kulture merch. All right, Tina, your wisdom and spirit have truly lit up today's show. Thank you for guiding us through the landscape of inner fitness and for sharing your powerful insight. Would you like to share any closing thoughts? And if you could let us know how we can stay updated on all the great work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, so, follow me across social media at Tina Lifford. Subscribe to my YouTube where I am teaching this kind of stuff all the time. My book, The Little Book of Big Lies, it should be on your bookshelf. And Uncle Kolby, I look forward to coming back again because my second book will be out in 2005, at the beginning of 2025.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. To all of our listeners, keep nurturing your inner self, keep pushing through those lies, and keep blossoming into your best selves. Remember, every step towards inner fitness is a step towards a fuller and richer life. Don't forget to keep the conversation going by following us on IG at Kolby Kulture Show, and of course, my personal handle at DJ Kolby. Dive into all the resources and past episodes at djkolbywashington.com. Until next time, keep those spirits high and keep it Kolby Kulture. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow the show wherever you listen to your podcast. Watch and subscribe on YouTube, and please feel free to give us a 5-star rating. See you on the next one.